Hi, it's me, Jacqueline. Welcome to my channel. If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to my channel and join me at Patreon. Link in the description. I glanced at the card with a little trepidation and smiled before telling them that I hoped was not going to be one of the finalists. Laura shook her head and then told me, "Why ever not? You look especially gorgeous this evening. And they put your photograph down in the entrance hall for everyone to see." Karen looked around the perimeter of the dance floor to see if Georgie had arrived yet. She had phoned her earlier to let her know we'd left the cocktail lounge and we would get her in the upstairs bar. It was Georgie who spotted us first, and she waved to us from above. The floor was still relatively empty as we clicked our collective heels across to the gallery table that Georgie had managed to secure. It afforded us an excellent view of the auditorium, where the brave would soon strut the night away. Georgie looked her usual knockout self in a super attractive outfit. A dusky pink georgette-sleeved top with a V-neck detail, teamed with a black floaty georgette skirt and jeweled strappy high heels. She curtsied to show off the fabulous flare of the skirt and said she was glad to see us all looking so attractive in our various outfits. "I love it when we all make such an effort, don't you?" she said as I sat down beside her. "Very much," I commented. Despite the corset dress and the chance that I might make the final of the contest, all I wanted to do was dance. This was in stark contrast to how I'd felt last week. But a lot had happened in a week. Soon I was on the floor doing my best alongside both Cindy and Laura. And it was not much longer before a group of young men managed to maneuver their way across the floor beside us. Above the beat of the dance music, I could see Cindy and Laura make small talk with some of the men. Although I played the shy card and restricted my responses accordingly, it did not prevent one of the men putting his hand on my backside. And I had to push it away when he tried to shift it round the front. Laura noticed this and winked at me. Karen was right. I was going to attract attention in such provocative clothes. It wasn't that I didn't want it. I just wasn't sure what it might lead to. Thankfully, the ribbon ties held up on my shoes for at least a good half-hour worth of dancing before I decided to retire for a rest and some refreshment. When we got back to our table, I ordered a round of drinks. They all toasted me and said I'd done extremely well in securing the job. I thanked each of them for the support. It was not long before Karen, Georgie, and Laura all set off to the floor as one of their favorite numbers beat out from the speakers. Cindy and I needed a little longer to recover, so we made our apologies as we sat this one out. As she filled our glasses, Cindy looked at me and said cheerily, "I'm so glad you got the job, Sally. I know we've only been friends for a short time, but I still missed you." I took my glass and sipped before saying, "I missed you too, Cindy." She giggled, then waved her pink-booted legs in the air. "Do you like my new boots, Sally?" I told her they were certainly eye-catching, and I doubt if I could get away with wearing such a brightly colored boot on my legs. Cindy nudged me gently and said softly, "You could get away with any color, Sally. It's a shame we're not the same size. You could have borrowed them if you'd wanted to." I nodded and imagined how I'd look wearing such brightly colored footwear. She turned her attention to my dress, saying how attractive it looked and asking if it was really as tight-fitting as it looked. I said it was very tight, but that was also because of the corset Laura had laced me into before putting me in the dress. Cindy touched my side and could feel the boning of the undergarment and the stiffness of the dress and said, "That is very tight. Are you sure you can cope with it all night?" I said that I was getting used to the restrictions the clothing created, but would need to wear it a few times before I could get really comfortable with it. The rest of the girls returned from the floor and Laura looked a little disappointed. It transpired that one of the judges had taken her card back. It was not too many drinks later that Cindy wanted to dance some more and pulled me back up to the floor to join her. I was sure my efforts at dancing had improved, but there was still plenty of room for improvement. Cindy told me to relax a little more and try not to be aware of the heels I was wearing. After the first track had finished, I was approached by a young man. He asked if I would like to have my next dance with him. I could see Cindy egging me on, and so I agreed to his request. He took me in his arms as the initial chords of "Every Breath You Take" by Sting sounded out from the speakers. I had to watch the other girls to see where I was supposed to place mine, being the lady. This was to be my latest introduction, the pleasure of dancing in the arms of a man. My partner was a few inches taller than me, even though I had very high heels on. He did not inspire me as the perfect dance partner, and I hoped he knew exactly where to position his hands. He appeared delighted at having the opportunity to put his hand on the backside of a woman wearing a tight-fitting dress. So much so that I had to lift his hand a touch higher than where he wanted it to be. Nevertheless, I soon started to enjoy the experience. It wasn't my favorite tune, but it did relax me and I was soon savoring the moment. When the song finished, my partner, rather gallantly, kissed my hand as a gesture of his appreciation. He thanked me for being such a good dancer and said I looked great in my outfit. Cindy and I headed back to the table where the other girls wanted to know who my handsome stranger was. I said it was just a casual dance, albeit my first one, and I had forgotten to ask his name. Cindy giggled, then told the group. There was definite eye contact and compliments too. I've never seen you smile so wide before. Georgie said not to worry and added, girls love compliments. It may have been your first dance, but I doubt very much it'll be your last. As I took a sip of my drink, I could still feel my heart beating faster than usual. I was sure I was not attracted to other males, but the dance did have an effect on me emotionally. It was at that moment that one of the nightclub judges came over and took my pink card back. That was the end of my chance of reaching the Diamond Disco Beauty Final. Laura gave me a consolation hug and cheered me up when she said, "Never mind. Better luck next time." I turned to look down on the dance floor and watched as the final 6 girls were called to the floor. As the girls assembled, the room burst into a mixture of catcalls, wolf whistles, and the odd scream. Although my initial reaction of being selected to appear in the final had filled me with dread, I now hoped there would be a next time. Karen ordered another round of drinks and said we were supposed to be celebrating my new job. Everyone agreed and I was toasted once more. The rest of the evening went in a flash as we enjoyed more dancing and watched a very beautiful girl called Sharon pose for her front-of-house beauty contest photograph. Perhaps one day it would be me holding the bouquet and wearing the silk sash as I was flanked by my fellow contestants. I certainly would wish for it to be that way. When Sunday morning arrived, I woke with a slight headache due, no doubt, to the number of drinks I had consumed the previous evening. I could not be certain, but I may well have dreamed about dancing the night away with the most handsome men at the disco. My outfit of the previous evening was carefully hung up on the outside of my wardrobe. The pink corset was folded neatly on the chair next to my dressing table, with the pink ribbon heels underneath alongside my evening bag. As I could not possibly have unlaced the garments on my own, it must have been Laura who had helped me get undressed and changed into my nightdress. Once I'd made the effort to actually get up, I went over and looked in the mirror. I had not completed my regular cleansing routine before going to bed and, as a result, my makeup was smudged all around my eyes and cheeks. The shower was very welcoming and refreshed me for the day ahead. Once again, I studied my budding upper parts under the water jets. They did appear to be evolving, but they were still not as formed as I wanted them to be. Although my facial hair was not heavy, I still had to shave very close for a smooth finish. I could ignore my recently waxed legs, but still found the shaving a chore to far. I hoped Dr. Thompson would agree to start me on some hormone therapy very soon. After wearing such a full makeup the previous night, I decided to wear only a light-tinted moisturizer and a nude lip gloss for today. To finish my beauty routine, I brushed my hair, then sprayed my body with some Calvin Klein Obsession body scent. After carefully putting on my special panties, I hooked into a black Wonder bra, then slipped the matching knickers up my legs. From the wardrobe, I decided on a simple red roll neck sweater with short sleeves and found a white and red print skirt to match. A pair of low-heeled black court shoes completed my daytime look. When Laura met me in the kitchen, I had already made fresh coffee, and she too said that she was suffering from the overindulgence of alcohol. It was then we made the decision to spend the day cleaning the flat and getting our clothes washed and ironed. It's not all discos, dances, and pretty clothes, Laura joked. By early evening, we were both glad to finally settle down in front of the television, and as we skipped through the programs, Laura asked me if I was nervous about starting full-time tomorrow. I shook my head, then she said it would probably be the most boring day ever, full of form filing and health and safety leaflets. At least you'll get your petticoat allowance, she said. Petticoat allowance was money that the company paid to you in order that you could obtain 2 sets of Hannah Sadler uniforms, 2 pairs of shoes, and buy tights to get you through the month. You only get the uniform suits issued once every 2 years, but they allow you 8 blouses a year and every month you get 20 pounds towards your tights and things. I said that was quite a generous allowance, and Laura explained that Karen would go through all the paperwork in the morning in the hope that I could get back to selling shoes by afternoon. Laura said I should wear the spare uniform Karen had left for me last week and added, "I've got this fantastic new mirror shine polish that is just incredible. I'll do your nails before you go to bed." When she finished applying a top coat to my fingernails, I had to agree that the polish was startling, even on the pale shade of pink that she had chosen to use. Each of my nails was a mirror in miniature. As Laura packed away her nail polishes, she smiled and then asked, "It's great, isn't it? You must get yourself some." I promised that I would before wishing her a good night. We pecked each other on the cheek, and I went off to bed with my latest nail color glinting in the light. Before I went to bed, I prepared my uniform for the next day, teaming the navy pinstripe skirt suit with a white blouse and on my feet, a pair of 4-inch heeled beige court shoes. For underwear, I decided on a white satin body shaper with padded cups and took out a new pair of nude hold-up stockings that were fashioned with a high sheen finish. Satisfied that everything was in order, I slipped on my pink baby doll nightdress and got into bed, dreaming of tomorrow. When Laura and I entered the shop on Monday morning, Cindy said that Karen was already upstairs waiting to see me about contracts and induction paperwork. I left the 2 girls to get ready for opening time and found Karen waiting for me in the same office where I'd been interviewed. "Good morning, Sally. How are you today?" she said with a bright smile. "I'm fine, thank you, Karen." "You look good, Sally." She asked me to take a seat, then began the process of officially contracting me to Hannah Sadler Fashions. I was handed a large white and pink ring binder that was filled with various company information. It was important that I familiarized myself with the contents. Next, Karen passed me over the contract of employment. She put my mind at rest regarding the references, telling me that she had already ticked the appropriate box to confirm having seen valid testimonials about my character. My annual salary was to be the new start minimum of just over £11,000, which would give me around $750 after tax was deducted. With the prospect of overtime for late-night shopping and even the chance of Sunday opening, Karen reckoned I'd be banking about $820 a month. I read over the contract, and seeing my name Sally across the document made me feel good. After I'd signed it, Karen acted as a witness. I was given the carbon copy for myself. On a personal note, I would pay back my advances to both Karen and Georgie at a rate of £50 each per month. This was open to negotiation depending on any unforeseen extras that might crop up in a month. Laura said she only required £350 a month as my contribution to the flat, so I would be left with just over $300 in my purse. Karen stood up and lifted 2 hangers off the back of the door. I could see they were Hannah Sadler uniforms and both were skirt suits. As she handed me the new issue of clothing, she said, "Normally new starts get 1 skirt and 1 trouser suit. But you've spent so long wearing trousers, I thought you'd much prefer 2 skirts instead." She handed me 4 packs of company blouses, 2 short-sleeved white with pink trim at the collar, 2 long-sleeved white, and 4 cream short-sleeved ones. I said I had hoped she might lift my ban on wearing trousers. After all, female ones were cut differently from male ones. As I took the blouses and placed them beside my chair, she said firmly, "For work, I'd like to see you in skirts full-time. Perhaps at weekends you might want to wear jeans or cute little shorts. Anyway, you've always given the impression you preferred skirts." I said that was true, but would also like to try shorts and jeans at some point. Karen smiled. "Good, then we are both satisfied. Now, you're also entitled to some shoes. We prefer if you get them from stock rather than buy them elsewhere. You have an allowance of £90, and once you've picked them, let me know, as there is a code that has to be put through the till." This was not a problem, and I told her I already had some styles in mind. Her only proviso was not to pick skyscraper heels. "You'll be on your feet all day, and I don't want you getting muscle strains every week. I never go above a 3-inch heel, but you might want to go slightly lower than that." She showed me her shoes, and I promised to keep the really high heels for out-of-office wear. I had my eye on some shoes already and hoped they were within the budget. As we continued through the mundane procedures, Karen did her best to make it as interesting as possible, promising that I'd like to get you trying out some window dressing and display setups. Our new autumn/winter range will soon be arriving, so we can wait until then. In the meantime, I want you to take responsibility for keeping the staff room clean and tidy. Any company notices should be placed on the board and on time. I said the prospect of creating window displays excited me, and I was pleased that she had given me the responsibility of keeping the staff up to date with company announcements. She said it was good that I was showing such enthusiasm for my new job, and then finished off the administration by getting me to sign for my £20 petticoat allowance. As she handed me the money, she said, "Let's get to work." And that is what we did. Please subscribe for the next part and visit my Patreon page for early access.